Hello friends, my name is Max Dendy and this is my review and experience with the ASUS ROG Ally-X, a PC handheld. I will tell you if it's worth buying or upgrading from the original ROG Ally and how it compares to other handhelds like the Steam Deck, Lenovo Legion Go or Nintendo Switch. I will also show you how it performs on both Windows and Steam-like operating system Bazzite, and of course how it handles emulation of such consoles like the Nintendo Switch, Wii U, GameCube, PlayStation 3 and 2 and many others. So let's go! The new ASUS ROG Ally-X has improved a lot of things and fixed major problems of the previous model. My favorite upgrade so far is the new 80 Wh battery, which is even bigger than in some gaming laptops. The previous model under full load could only last about an hour of gameplay, but this one around 2 hours, and if you tweak the power limit settings to play some non-demanding games, it outperforms every other handheld now. Other improvements include the new joysticks, which are tight with good resistance, unlike the loose ones from before. The new triggers, shoulder buttons, D-pad, face and back buttons are more satisfying and clicky in a good way. The shape is now more rounded, which finally makes it comfortable to hold in hands compared to the old model's sharp edges. The speakers are a little bit louder. The intake fans are bigger and the cooling system was improved. Now it's even more silent even under full load, and the handheld is cooler to the touch. The notorious SD card slot was moved to another place, so hopefully it will not burn the SD cards now like the previous model. Also now we finally have two USB-C ports and one of them is Thunderbolt 4, which makes it easier to use with external graphics cards, unlike the old one with its proprietary XG mobile port. It also now packs a 1TB SSD compared to the 500 gigs of the previous Ally, which is also the most common M.2 2280 format that is easier to find and upgrade. I personally swapped in a 2TB SSD with a huge heatsink that I also used with my PlayStation 5. There's now plenty of space inside and I had zero problems so far. Another improvement is that the Ally-X now supports 100W charging, and with the right power bank or charger, you can juice it up from 0 to full charge in about an hour. That's impressive and convenient. And the last upgrade is 24GB of RAM, which is also faster, and yes, this slightly improved the performance, even though the ASUS ROG Ally-X has the same processor as before. Now, before I say what I don't like about the ASUS ROG Ally-X, let me tell you about its advantages compared to others. And the first is the screen. It has variable refresh rate technology, which can be a game changer for a lot of people. So the VRR essentially means that the screen can adjust its refresh rate to sync perfectly with the game's frame rate. So if your game gets any frame rate drops, and on such handhelds this happens all the time, you might not even notice it thanks to the VRR. It gives a much more fluid gaming experience, especially around 40 to 60 FPS. In comparison, on the Legion Go and the Steam Deck, you see all these stutters, and it's very annoying. The second advantage is the amount of memory and the performance. It is much more powerful than the Steam Deck and the Nintendo Switch, of course. And even though the Legion Go also has the same AMD Z1 Extreme chip, it lacks the RAM. For example, in Forza Horizon 5, I constantly got a notification about the insufficient memory on the old ROG Ally and the Legion Go. With the Ally-X, I don't have this problem. The overall performance is great and you can see this in the benchmarks, and can even play new AAA titles like the Black Myth Wukong easily. Now let's talk about the things that I don't like about the Ally-X. And the first is something that I love and hate at the same time, and that's the screen. Yes, it is great in terms of colors and the VRR is an amazing feature, but it's still the same screen as from the old ROG Ally, and it's small. In some games, the interface and the text are so small that you have to look really close to see anything. So when I have a stable frame rate and no drops in performance, I still prefer playing on a bigger screen. The second thing I don't like is these squeaking shoulder buttons. I thought maybe I'm the only one with this problem, but I searched Reddit and I found many people with this issue. Yes, it can be fixed with a keyboard loop, but why should I fix something in the product of this price? The third problem is the lack of trackpads. Having a trackpad would not only make it easier to navigate the desktop, but this would also give you an option in some strategy games. Using the touchscreen, especially the small, is not something you would like. And the last problem is the software, and I'm talking about Windows. This operating system is not controller friendly, and you have to either use a Steam Big Picture mode or ASUS Armoury Crate application. And I'm not even talking about the driver updates problems and Windows bugs. That's why in comparison the Steam Deck is so pleasant to use. It has the SteamOS, which is controller friendly and has a lot of customization, and most importantly, it has the separate gaming and a desktop mode. But you know what? You can install almost exactly the same operating system called Bazzite, which looks like the SteamOS, has the same customization, desktop Linux and gaming mode, and also additional menus for tweaking power limit, controller settings and other stuff. And what I like the most is that, like with the Steam Deck, it is so easy to make the motion controls working. So I took the best of two worlds. I dual booted two systems. So when I need my Xbox Game Pass subscription or multiplayer games with the anti-cheat system that don't work on Linux, I use Windows. When I need anything else, I switch to Bazzite. It even provides a better performance in some games, so I suggest everybody at least to try it. Now, there is one thing that might be very important for some of you. I already talked about the variable refresh rate, and if you plan to use this feature on the external TV or monitor, this might not work. I tried several docking stations and found only one that has VRR support and works with all of my handhelds. It is this JSOX docking station. It has every connection that you might need: HDMI, DisplayPort, 3 USB-A, USB-C, Ethernet, and even 2 slots for SD cards. And the RGB lights can be turned on and off. I love this thing, and I even use it with my MacBook. As far as other accessories, I said that ASUS ROG Ally X now supports 100-watt charging, and for that I use the power bank Anker 737, which is 140 watts and 24,000 milliamps, which can charge even the 16-inch MacBook Pro. That's amazing. For wall charging, I've been using this Ugreen 100-watt charger for a long time already, and also can recommend. For the screen, I use the JSOX glass protectors, which I also used with my other handhelds. For the storage, I got this 2TB SSD from AData, which I've been using with my PS5. It has a massive heatsink but sits inside the Ally X just fine. And for the SD card, I have this Kingston since my first Steam Deck. I was looking specifically for the SD card that would not limit the performance of my games, and this one works perfectly for that. As for the case, I'm using the JSOX modular case. It has a kickstand and a strap for the power bank or something else. It's very compact and extremely sturdy. Just look at this. Now let's talk about emulation. Well, as the previous ASUS ROG Ally, it is a beast. I use the EmuDeck application, which synchronizes game saves across all of my PC handhelds, and it's so easy to use and set up. So the Ally X runs all retro games super well, no surprise in that. And when it comes to more demanding games like PlayStation 3, Nintendo Switch, you have to tweak some settings, install modes and optimizers, and yet some games still won't run well. However, keep in mind that's a mobile device, and it can emulate many games that, for example, Steam Deck cannot. So if you need a handheld console specifically for emulation, I think now, with this Bazzite OS, ASUS ROG Ally X is one of the best options for that. I managed to run The Last Zelda and many other exclusives with a decent frame rate. As far as the Wii U emulation, everything runs super well. And when it comes to PlayStation 2 or GameCube, it depends on the game. One game runs better on one platform than another, and I personally prefer the GameCube. With anything older, I had no problems. If you want to know more about emulation, I suggest watching the Retro Games Core channel. This guy Ross has a lot of detailed videos, and I personally used his guides to set up the emulation on my devices. Now, comparing it to the Nintendo Switch, like every other PC handheld, nothing really replaces my Switch. I love Nintendo exclusives, and not all of them run well via emulation, especially now after Nintendo has shut down the last Switch emulator. However, if you're looking to play cross-platform games, the ROG Ally X handles them much better. But Nintendo is a console. It's not only simpler to use, but it also has a much longer life cycle, and it probably gives you more value over time. The Switch still runs on the same processor from 2017. On the other hand, the ROG Ally is a PC and gets more frequent updates. ASUS released the ROG Ally in 2023 with the Z1 Extreme chip, and then updated it with the ROG Ally X. And just recently, AMD confirmed that they will bring new Z2 Extreme chip in early 2025, so we'll have another upgrade soon. Keep that in mind. Now, one great feature I like about the ASUS ROG Ally X is that you can use it to play your games from PlayStation 5. And one thing that really confuses me is that Ally X works better for playing remotely on PS5 than the PlayStation Portal. In short, the Portal is way more comfortable to use for that. Its only purpose is remote play from PS5. But I have micro stutters here and there with it. I googled this problem, and I'm not the only one. On the ROG Ally X, I don't have any problems. Everything is smooth and fast. I'm using Chiaki application and it works really well. So yeah, this might replace the PlayStation Portal. Now my final thoughts. The ASUS ROG Ally X is currently the most polished Windows PC handheld on the market. It has impressive battery life, great performance, and the variable refresh rate screen is truly a game changer. The full price is kinda ridiculous though, especially outside of the United States. For that kind of money, you could buy both a PS5 and a Nintendo Switch. That being said, just like the previous model, the Legion Go or even the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally X will likely go on sale soon. When that happens, I think it will be worth considering. Yes, I know many people don't trust ASUS due to the poor RMA process and issues with the previous model. And I personally had to return my original ROG Ally because the headphone jack stopped working after 8 months. But since I didn't buy directly from ASUS, my return process was pretty quick and easy. So if you can purchase it from a trusted retailer, I'd say go for it. That's about it. Thank you for watching and have a great day. See you. Bye.